Hello, everyone. Welcome to Moonlit Stories. Today, I'm bringing you a tale of fate, rebirth, and a love that almost slipped away. After living a life where she was always compared to her perfect sister, she gets a second chance and finally chooses her own happiness, only to discover that the mysterious man she once cherished is hiding a shocking secret. So, without further ado, let's begin this unforgettable journey.
My older sister was the star disciple of the kingdom's greatest healing academy. As an unmarried woman, she couldn't freely attend every social gathering, so whenever an important banquet came up, she'd hand me an incredibly lifelike disguise and have me go in her place. And every time I said yes, until that one spring flower banquet, one innocent drink, one terrible mistake, I woke up trapped in the same room as the young duke. To protect my sister's reputation, I pulled off the disguise and revealed who I really was. We ended up getting married. After that, people never stopped whispering behind our backs. They thought he'd marry the perfect woman, but instead he settled for her plain little sister. Whenever my husband overheard them, he'd simply smile. "Your sister is like untouched snow." As for Meow, she may be ordinary, but she's warm, kind, and perfect for building a home. Perfect for a peaceful life. But never the woman he truly wanted. And I wasn't innocent either. Once, I had someone I could never forget. Someone who always felt just out of reach. Then fate gave me another chance. I opened my eyes. Back to the very day my sister asked me to attend that flower banquet for her. This time, I shook my head. "Big sister, I'll deliver Mr. Shin's medicine instead. You should go to the banquet yourself." She blinked in surprise. "Are you sure? Mr. Shin has a terrible temper. When he first asked my master for treatment, I visited him 3 times, and he threw me out every single time. If my master hadn't insisted, I would have stopped treating him long ago. Now all I have to do is deliver his medicine on schedule, but only I know how to prepare it properly. If you go, he might not even let you through the door." I linked my arm with hers and smiled. "Don't you remember? Last time I attended a banquet pretending to be you, everyone started exchanging poetry. I almost gave myself away. Mother already suspects something. This banquet is hosted by the queen herself. There'll definitely be poetry, music, and performances again. If I slip up this time, I'll embarrass you, and Mother will never let me hear the end of it." She hesitated before finally nodding.
Fine.
"But be careful around Mr. Shin. His bodyguard looks terrifying. Just keep your eyes down." "I will." The moment she left, I let out a long breath. My sister had spent years studying medicine under the greatest physicians. After returning to the capital, she'd saved the lives of several powerful nobles. Our parents were proud, but also worried. She spent too much time treating men and appearing in public, and gossip spread quickly. So, whenever noble banquets came around, I became her stand-in. Unfortunately, I hated those fancy parties. I'd climbed over the courtyard wall to escape more than once. Before long, everyone believed the eldest daughter of the Xie family was both a legendary healer and a brilliant scholar, while the younger daughter was wild, unpredictable, and never where she was supposed to be. In my previous life, everything started at that flower banquet. My sister asked me to attend while she delivered medicine to the Shin family. Someone secretly slipped something into my wine. By the time I woke up, I was alone with the young duke. Nothing truly happened, but our clothes were in complete disarray. And the queen walked in at exactly the wrong moment, in front of everyone. She had originally planned to marry my sister to the young duke. Instead, to protect my sister, I removed my disguise before the entire court. For just a second, disappointment flashed across his eyes. Then it disappeared. He accepted the marriage without another word. After we married, he was always gentle, always thoughtful, always respectful. But every banquet brought the same cruel whispers. He reached for the moon and ended up with dust. He would squeeze my hand and quietly comfort me. "Your sister is flawless. Meow is different. She's kind. She's someone you can spend a lifetime with." Different. Not the one he truly wished for. Looking back now, I realized we were both trapped in a marriage built on compromise. this lifetime. Everything would change. My sister went to the flower banquet herself. With her medical skills, she'd noticed the suspicious drink immediately. As for me, I picked up the medicine and headed to the Shun residence. The Shun family was one of the kingdom's oldest noble houses. Rumor said their third son had only been found 6 months ago after disappearing for years. No one knew where he'd been. By the time he returned, he was gravely ill. Only my sister's teacher had managed to save him. 2 more months of medicine, and he'd recover completely. A towering guard with a scarred face answered the door, exactly as my sister had described. He looked me over. "Miss Xia isn't here today?" My sister had something come up. "You're the younger Miss Xia?" I nodded. He stepped aside. "This way." After winding through quiet courtyards, we arrived at a peaceful study. A handsome young man sat beside the window, calmly reading. Without even looking up, he said, "Leave it there." I carefully placed the medicine on the table and turned to leave. "Wait." His voice stopped me. "You've changed." I lowered my eyes. My sister couldn't come today, so she asked me to deliver it. She prepared the medicine herself. "Please don't worry." He studied me in silence for several long moments. "I see." Only then did I realize my back was covered in sweat. I was about to leave when he spoke again. "Take the pastries on the table." I froze. Pastries? My sister had never mentioned a thank you gift. Maybe Mr. Shin wasn't as impossible as everyone claimed. I picked up the box and bowed politely. "Thank you, Mr. Shin. I'll make sure my sister gets them." His expression shifted ever so slightly. "Do you think you're just a messenger?" I looked up without thinking. "Aren't I?" The words left my mouth, and I completely froze. His face was breathtaking. Cold, elegant, almost unreal, like someone who had stepped straight out of a painting. How had no one ever mentioned a man this handsome? Then I remembered. He'd only recently returned and had spent months recovering indoors. Almost no one had ever seen him. Remembering my sister's warning, I quickly lowered my gaze again. After a brief silence, he said calmly, "Hans Han." The intimidating guard stepped forward. "Escort Miss Xia out." The guard gave me an odd look, but quietly obeyed. My sister came back from the palace much earlier than expected. The first thing she asked was, "Did you deliver the medicine?" I did. Mr. Shun was actually pretty nice. He even gave me a box of osmanthus cakes. She stared at me in disbelief. I've treated him for months and delivered medicine countless times. Forget pastries, I never got so much as a thank you. I hesitated. Maybe he was planning to give them to you? She snorted. With that icy face? He looks like the whole world owes him money. Even if he offered me food, I'd think twice before taking it. And don't get me started on his bodyguard. He never smiles. He looks like he's on duty every second of the day. Really? I thought back for a moment. He didn't seem that cold. When Hans Han walked me out, he even smiled a little and reminded me to watch the steps. He seemed pretty friendly. My sister couldn't figure it out either, so she gave up thinking about it. Asked why she'd come home so early. She finished her tea in one gulp. A noble lady tried to set up another young lady by switching her drink with a suspicious one. But I'm a doctor. One sniff, and I knew something was wrong. So I quietly switched it back. My heart skipped a beat. What happened after that? I realized the other girl had been dragged into someone else's scheme, so I helped her out. She thanked me with a generous reward. When everyone rushed in to catch the couple, they only found Zhou Wenqin. I frowned. Last time, wasn't it Cui Jiu? Why had everything changed? She continued. Someone knocked Zhou Wenqin unconscious and dumped him in the room. He was probably just caught in someone else's revenge. But that young Duke Cui. She paused. The way he looked at me, it was strange. My heart suddenly sank. Could it be? He was the one who changed everything? In my previous life, he had been trapped in that room with me. Now my sister had taken my place. Nothing happened the way I remembered. The more I thought about it, the more confused I became. My sister simply patted my shoulder. "Good thing I went today. If you'd been there instead." I don't even want to imagine it. Before I could answer, A maid hurried over. Madam wants both young ladies in the front hall. The whole family sat down together. Mother looked exhausted. I hoped this banquet would help both of you find good husbands. Instead, one of you never showed up, and the other walked into complete chaos. Father cleared his throat. Well, if marriage doesn't work out, maybe we can find husbands willing to join our family. Mother shot him a glare. With what money? Do you know how expensive weddings are these days? And you want two sons-in-law under one roof? Your salary can barely support this family as it is. Father instantly fell silent. After a long pause, he waved his hand.
Fine.
Just try your best to get married. My sister leaned over and whispered with a grin. Don't worry. I make good money. If you ever decide you want a husband who joins our family, I'll pay for the wedding myself. I couldn't help smiling. That offer was surprisingly tempting. The next morning, young Duke Chui came to our house. His mother was sick, and he wanted my sister to examine her. The moment he looked at my sister, his eyes softened without him even realizing it. Watching from the side, I suddenly understood everything. Anyone would fall for someone like her. She asked about his mother's condition and agreed to visit his estate in person. Then she turned to me. Meow, please deliver today's medicine to Mr. Shen. I nodded. Only then did young Duke Chui finally notice me. His eyes lingered on my bright dress for just a second. A hint of surprise flashed across his face. My sister caught it and laughed. Young Duke, are you admiring those peonies? He calmly looked away. The flowers are beautiful. She smiled even wider. They're lovely, but not as lovely as my little sister. My ears instantly turned red. I tugged on her sleeve. I should get going. As I walked away, I could still feel someone's eyes following me. Then I heard my sister's voice from behind. Meow has always loved bright colors. They suit her cheerful personality. The rest faded into the distance. In my previous life, I never wore bright colors. I dressed like my sister, acted like my sister, stayed quiet like my sister. I thought if I became more like her, people would stop comparing us. She was the moon. I was happy just being a cloud. But no matter how hard I tried, I was only called a poor imitation. Eventually, I stopped wanting to go out at all. When I arrived at the Shun residence, Mr. Shen accepted the medicine. But instead of letting me leave, he pointed at the chessboard. Play a game with me. I answered honestly. I don't know how. What I was really thinking about was the fresh flower cakes from Sweet Blossom House. If I hurried now, I could still catch the first batch. Soft, sweet, filled with red bean paste and topped with fragrant flower petals. Just thinking about them made me hungry. Mr. Shen noticed I was distracted. So, what are you good at, Miss Ya? Without thinking, I blurted out,
Eating.
Hans Han burst out laughing. My face instantly burned. Even Mr. Shen looked like he was trying not to smile. I quickly added, I can't play regular chess. But I do know 5 in a row. So, do I. He answered without hesitation. What would you like to eat? Flower cakes. He turned to Hans Han. Go buy some. Then he looked back at me. Now play one game. I immediately called after Hans Han. Get them from Sweet Blossom House. And ask for extra flower topping. Oh, and buy 4. Then I paused. I looked at Mr. Shen. Would you like some too? He gave a small nod. Then make it 6. Hans Han turned around, completely confused. Why 6? Shouldn't 5 be enough? I answered confidently. Your master will probably eat one, but I like even numbers. They bring good luck. Hans Han almost stumbled. Apparently he'd never seen anyone defend being a foodie so seriously. Once the game started, I realized Mr. Shen was surprisingly good. I couldn't help saying, most noblemen only play traditional chess. They think 5 in a row is for kids. I never had anyone to play with, so I used to play against myself. Mr. Shen calmly placed another piece. I once met a girl. She was excellent at this game. My eyes lit up. Really? Someone better than me? Back then, I'd won so many games that I earned weeks of free snacks from one very unlucky opponent. When Hans Han finally returned, I happily handed one cake to Mr. Shin. Then I noticed Hans Han staring at me. With a sigh, I gave him one too. Hans Han grinned. Perfect. Now you still get to eat an even number. Mr. Shin quietly turned his head. For just a moment, a real smile appeared on his face. When I got home, I found my sister talking to young Duke Chui at the front gate. Standing side by side, they looked like the perfect match. She was elegant. He was refined. Even from a distance, they looked made for each other. I rubbed my stomach. Watching them somehow made me hungry again. My sister was explaining that his mother's condition wasn't serious. A few more treatments, and she'll make a full recovery. Young Duke Chui bowed politely. Thank you, Miss Xia. Please allow me to treat you to dinner. She smiled and shook her head. You've already paid my fee. That's more than enough. He insisted. My mother's been suffering for years. Thanks to you, she's finally getting better. If you ever need anything, just ask. My sister's eyes lit up. Actually, there is something. My little sister is old enough to get married. Our mother has been worrying herself sick. You know a lot of good young gentlemen. If you know someone reliable, please introduce him to her. I hurried over. Big sister, I don't need that. She quietly tugged my sleeve. It doesn't hurt to ask. I had no comeback. Young Duke Chui looked at me. What kind of man do you like, Miss Xia? My sister kept urging me to answer. Cornered, I finally admitted it. I already like someone. She froze. Who? Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed young Duke Chui take a small step back. I didn't think much of it. He's tall. Very handsome. Fair skin. Long, beautiful fingers. My sister glanced at young Duke Chui with a puzzled look. Wait, doesn't that describe the young Duke perfectly? His smile faded. I'm honored, but I already have someone I admire. I'm afraid. I quickly interrupted him. It's not you, young Duke. You're wonderful, but the person I like is still the best. For a split second, his expression froze. Then he smiled again. But this time, it didn't quite reach his eyes. Who is he? Maybe I can help you find him. I thought for a moment. He doesn't live in the capital. His fingers tightened slightly. I see. Something felt off. Why did he suddenly seem upset? Was he feeling sick? If so, my sister could easily treat him. I nodded. That's right. My sister sighed. So you'll marry far away one day? What if Mom, Dad, and I miss you? Then she suddenly brightened. I'll just earn more money. We'll ask him to move here instead. Money can solve almost anything. Young Duke Chui quietly added, You don't have to marry someone from far away. There are plenty of good men here. My sister immediately shook her head. No. If Miao doesn't truly love him, it doesn't matter where he lives. I felt my face heat up. I quickly dragged my sister inside, but she wouldn't let it go. She kept asking who the man was. I couldn't tell her. If she knew, she'd be the first to object. Besides, I didn't even know whether Lianhua planned to leave his spiritual life behind, or whether the scar on his face had fully healed. Last spring, I went to the mountain temple with my mother. The vegetarian food was so bland that I sneaked off to the orchard to look for fruit. I had just climbed into a peach tree when a calm voice came from below. $10 for each peach. I jumped in surprise. My hand slipped. I fell straight down, right onto the man standing beneath the tree. He wore a mask that covered most of his face. Only his eyes and jaw could be seen. I looked down at him in panic. His eyes were calm. His voice was warm and gentle. I'm terrible at judging voices. To me, there are only two kinds. Nice and not nice. His was the nicest I'd ever heard. He wasn't angry at all. Instead, he smiled. So, still want the peaches? I shook my head as fast as I could. Then let's make a deal. If you beat me, you can take them. My eyes sparkled. Let's play 5 in a row. 3 games later, he hadn't won a single one. I walked away with a peach, a plate of pastries, and $200. After that, whenever I ran low on money, I'd visit the temple again. Over the next 6 months, I won more than $4,000 from him. Every single time. When he ran out of cash, he'd simply tell me to keep a tab. He was so generous that I actually started feeling guilty. Then one day, I went back again. A young monk told me Lianhua had already left the temple. He wasn't from this area. No one knew where he'd gone. I never saw him again. Maybe he was traveling the world, helping people. I sighed quietly. If only I'd been given this second chance sooner. I would have gone straight to the mountain and asked him if he'd marry me. For the next 5 days, my sister visited the Duke's estate to treat his mother. The Duchess clearly adored her. She kept asking whether my sister was engaged. She even asked young Duke Chui to take her shopping. But on the way, my sister spotted an elderly man who had been hit by a carriage. Without a second thought, she rushed over. Ignoring the blood and dirt, she carefully treated his injured leg. Young Duke Chui stood behind her. His face suddenly turned pale. Even his lips lost their color. That same day, Mr. Shen unexpectedly asked me to go buy flour cakes with him. I blinked. Since when do you like sweets? Hans Han answered for him. The bakery next door sells even better cakes. I tried one last time. They're amazing. I immediately glared at him. I shared my cakes with you. And you kept the best ones all to yourself? The three of us walked toward the bakery. From a distance, we spotted my sister treating the injured man. Young Duke Chui was standing nearby. He swayed slightly. Then I remembered. He couldn't stand the sight of blood. The next second, he turned his head. Our eyes met. Then his gaze shifted to Mr. Shin beside me. I was just about to call my sister when someone bumped into me while rushing past. I lost my balance and stumbled straight into Mr. Shun's arms. He caught me without hesitation, keeping me from falling. Once I steadied myself, I looked up. Young Duke Chui was staring at us. His face darkened. His lips pressed into a thin line. His eyes looked slightly red. Why did he seem upset again today? I quietly thanked Mr. Shin, then hurried over to my sister. She had already finished treating the old man. She carefully wrote down his address. I'll come change your bandages tomorrow. The old man couldn't stop thanking her. My sister stood up and finally noticed me.
Meow?
What are you doing here? Then she looked at Mr. Shin. Her eyes widened. Mr. Shin? Is that really you? She looked him up and down several times. Then a knowing smile appeared. Not from the capital. Handsome. Fair skin. Meow. The man you said you liked. Don't tell me it's him. I remember Mr. Shun once said his hometown is in the south. I almost choked. And no. Before I could finish, young Duke Chui spoke coldly. That pale skin doesn't look natural. It's probably because he stays indoors all day. As for his height, he's about the same as me. And those fingers, they're a little too thin.
He looked straight at me.
Miss Xie comes from an ordinary family. She's pretty, but not exceptionally so. If she marries into a family far above her station, she may never truly belong. She'll spend her whole life trying to fit in. It would be better to find someone well-matched. Someone who will respect her and treat her kindly. His words sounded sincere, like he was looking out for me. But underneath, they carried another message. Don't dream too big. Know your place. Someone ordinary should choose an ordinary life. Mr. Shin suddenly spoke. I think you're saying that far too soon. Whether Miss Xie is worthy isn't for others to decide. And whether she's reaching too high depends on whether the other person wants her. What if he does? My sister's face turned cold. Young Duke, you've crossed the line. Miao has many wonderful qualities. Just because you don't see them doesn't mean no one else does. Young Duke Chui realized he'd gone too far. He immediately bowed. My apologies. I only wanted to help. I spoke without thinking. My sister didn't soften. No need. A happy marriage isn't built on family status alone. Choosing by background doesn't guarantee the right person. She took my hand. We're leaving. Young Duke Chui stayed where he was. For the first time, he looked genuinely embarrassed. After we walked away, my sister was still annoyed. What's wrong with him? He cares way too much about status. If he introduced anyone, it would probably be another stiff, boring nobleman. I gently squeezed her hand. I'm not in a hurry. She finally relaxed. After a moment, I quietly asked, what do you really think of young Duke Chui? In my previous life, my sister left the capital and never married. She adopted 2 children and spent her life teaching medicine. She never talked about love. I never knew if there had been someone in her heart. She thought for a moment. He's handsome. I'll give him that. But every sentence is about rules and proper behavior. Just listening to him sounds exhausting. And his family, it feels suffocating. I don't like men like that. I lowered my eyes. But another memory came back. Around everyone else, young Duke Chui was calm and distant. But whenever my sister appeared, his eyes always followed her, quietly,
Carefully.
until she noticed. Then he'd look away. In my previous life, I sat beside him for years, yet he never looked at me like that. After that day, my sister seemed to avoid him on purpose. Every time she finished treating his mother, she left immediately. She never stayed to chat. Young Duke Chui visited our house several times. Each time, he missed her. One morning, I had just stepped outside when he called after me. Miss Yeah. I turned around. Young Duke. He looked at me for a long moment. Do you hate me? I shook my head.
No.
Not in this life. Not in the last one either. We simply weren't meant to be. He frowned. Then why is your sister avoiding me? I understood right away.
He thought I'd said something.
You've misunderstood. My sister is busy treating patients every day. She's not as free as you are. He paused awkwardly, then asked carefully, it feels like you don't like me very much. I smiled. Don't you feel the same about me?
He was speechless.
After a while, he finally said, I only wanted to warn you. Mr. Shin isn't the right man for you. What did that have to do with Mr. Shin?
He continued.
I heard he once lived at a mountain temple. After his grandmother's birthday, he's planning to return there. He intends to devote his life to spiritual practice. My heart tightened. What do you mean? His voice softened. I didn't want your sister to worry, so I thought you should know. My mother heard people talking at the banquet. When Mr. Shin was a child, he disappeared for years. He later spent several years at a mountain temple. Even though the Shin family found him again, I don't think he's changed his mind. I don't believe the 2 of you have a future. I stood there in shock. 6 months ago, Lianhua disappeared. The Shin family suddenly found their missing 3rd son. Could it be Mr. Shin was Lianhua all along? Then why didn't he recognize me? I forced myself to stay calm. Thank you for telling me. Young Duke Chui finally looked relieved. I only want what's best for you. I was wrong before. A relationship isn't just about matching families. What matters most is loving each other. Your sister is the perfect example. Her family may not be the most powerful, but everyone in the capital respects her. Her talent makes her worthy of any great family. I caught the hidden meaning immediately. In his eyes, my sister was worthy because of her extraordinary talent. But what if she were just an ordinary woman? Would he still admire her? I paused before getting into my carriage. Then I turned back with a playful smile. Young Duke, do you like my sister? No matter who she is? His ears turned red, but he didn't deny it. I admire her. She has saved so many lives. I truly respect her courage. I smiled. In that case, my sister is treating homeless people at the old temple in the Southeast District today. He immediately bowed. Thank you for telling me. I smiled back. And thank you, too. Then I stepped into my carriage. I wasn't thanking him for anything else. I was thanking him for telling me that Mr. Shun was Lianhua. Our carriage stopped outside the Shun residence. As soon as I walked in, I spotted Hans Han leaning against the hallway, stuffing pastries into his mouth. The moment he saw me, he panicked. He crammed the rest into his cheeks. His face puffed up like a squirrel. As I walked past him, I couldn't help teasing, Hans Han, you've gained some weight. If you keep eating like this, you'll never find a wife. He froze, then pinched his own cheek. Have I really? Inside the study, Mr. Shin sat by the window. He was playing chess against himself. Black pieces in one hand, white pieces in the other. Without saying a word, I sat across from him, picked up a black piece, and joined a game. A little while later, this story is produced exclusively by the YouTube channel Moonlit Stories. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe. He lost. I calmly pulled out a small notebook, opened the latest page, and wrote another line. Another $100. Then I looked at him. So, should I still call you Mr. Shin? Or should I call you Lianhua? He looked away awkwardly. What are you talking about? I placed the notebook on the table. You still owe me $4,200. When are you paying me back? He finally looked up. Panic flashed across his eyes. Meow. I never meant to hide it from you. I folded my arms. Go on. I'm listening. Sensing trouble, Hans Han quietly slipped toward the door. Only one ear was still peeking inside. After a long silence, Mr. Shin finally spoke. I went to the temple to recover from an illness. Back then, the doctors said I had less than a year to live. I thought I'd simply accept my fate, but 1 year became another. And somehow I survived. His eyes never left mine. Then he smiled bitterly. Then I met you. I wanted to leave the temple. But what could I offer you? I thought I was dying. I couldn't give you a future. Then the Shin family found me. That's when I learned the truth. I'm not actually their third son. I'm their nephew. My mother's a princess. I stared at him. Your royalty? He nodded. My uncle found the best doctor he could. But when your sister came instead, I didn't trust her. I kept sending her away. Then my mother wrote to me. She told me, if I agreed to treatment, she would support any future I chose. So I decided, once I recovered, I would come and ask you to marry me. He paused, then lowered his eyes. But there's something you don't know. Years of medicine damaged my health. I may never have children. I never expected that answer. My heart ached. What about my previous life? No one had ever mentioned a missing prince. I only remembered one thing. When I was seriously ill, news spread through the capital. A young monk from the mountain temple had passed away. The next day, I died too. Mr. Shin lowered his head. I'm sorry. I was wrong. He told Hans Han to bring the money. I watched him quietly. He looked so guilty, yet my heart felt even heavier. So, you can't have children? That's fine. I don't mind. And if one day you change your mind, my parents can always have another baby. He blinked in surprise. Meow. You don't like children? I do, but only if they're with the person I love. I looked out the window instead of answering. My sister wanted to find a husband who would join our family. I planned to ask you, once you recovered, if you'd leave the temple life behind. But you never came. So I thought, you never wanted me. Hans Han returned with the cash. I took it, turned around, and walked toward the door. Mr. Shin, from now on, someone else will deliver your medicine. We don't need to see each other again. Before I finished speaking, footsteps rushed up behind me. A warm hand grabbed my wrist.
Meow.
Don't say that. I didn't turn around. You can live your life, and I'll live mine. Isn't that enough?
No.
His answer came without hesitation. I want to be your husband. I want to spend my life with you. I've missed you so much. It's all I can think about. I froze. Before I could react, he gently pulled me around
And kissed me.
For a second, my mind went completely blank. Behind us, Hans Han gasped. He immediately covered his eyes, then spun around in panic. I didn't see anything. I definitely didn't see anything. I pushed Mr. Shin back, my face burning. You broke your promise. He smiled softly. I broke it. The day I fell for you. When I got home, I rushed straight into my parents' room. The door flew open. They were chatting happily. My mother was sitting close beside my father. The sudden interruption startled her. She accidentally smacked my father on the face. He sat there in complete shock, holding his cheek. My mother quickly coughed. There was a mosquito. I wasn't paying attention. I blurted out,
Mom.
Dad, can you have another baby? I'll help raise them. The room went completely silent. Just then, my sister walked in. So will I. Mom, Dad, good luck. Then she looked at Father. Come see me later. I'll prepare some herbal medicine. It'll do wonders. Mother's face turned bright red. She pointed at the door. Out. My sister and I looked at each other, then quickly slipped outside, closing the door behind us. Just before it shut, we heard Mother whisper, "Couldn't you have locked the door?" Father sighed helplessly. How was I supposed to know they'd burst in like that? When my parents came out, I told them about my plan to have Mr. Shin join our family. Both of them froze. They looked at each other. Clearly, neither of them expected this. My sister immediately regretted everything. She kept patting her own mouth. I shouldn't have asked you to deliver his medicine. I basically sent my own sister right into someone else's hands. I shook my head. Big sister, I actually knew him long before that. Then I told them everything. The peaches, the games, the money I won from him. Mother finally understood. So that's why you suddenly had so much pocket money back then? I thought some unlucky rich guy was just giving it away. Father stayed silent for a long time. Then he finally asked, Meow, does Mr. Shin really want this? He does. My sister looked like she wanted to say something, but she waited until our parents left. Then she pulled me aside. Are you sure about him? I know. I stopped her before she finished. Big sister, I don't care about that. She looked at me quietly for a long time. Then she gently fixed my loose hair. Fine. If he's the person you chose, even if I have to do everything I can, I'll help him get better. My heart warmed. Before I could say anything, she suddenly changed the subject. Oh, by the way, young Duke Chui came to the old temple today. He wanted to help me, but he fainted. I blinked. What happened? My sister looked completely speechless. He came to help, but there was a little beggar with a serious wound. I was treating him. Young Duke Chui just looked over and immediately felt sick. After that, I told him to go home, but he refused. He insisted on staying. Later, I treated another patient. I was cleaning an old injury. He lasted less than 10 minutes. Then he passed out. She shook her head. I honestly don't understand. Why did he come all this way? Young Duke Chui admired my sister's brilliance, her reputation, her kindness, the perfect image everyone saw. But he never understood the price behind it, the sleepless nights, the pain she endured. He loved the beautiful version of her, but he couldn't accept the difficult reality. In the end, his feelings were only admiration from a distance. I went to the palace to meet Consort Duan. She was unbelievably beautiful. The moment she saw me, she smiled and pinched my cheek. Such a smart and adorable girl. No wonder my son wants to join your family. If I were him, I would make the same choice. Mr. Shin couldn't stand watching anymore. He gently pulled me away. Mother. She waved her hand. I'm only looking. Look at how protective you are. Then her expression became serious. Yuan. If you join their family, you can only do so as the third son of the Shin family. You cannot enter their home as a prince. Her meaning was clear. A royal prince becoming someone else's son-in-law? The royal family's dignity would never allow it. She was asking him to choose. Return to the palace as the fifth prince, or give up that identity and become the Shin family's son-in-law. Mr. Shin didn't hesitate. My health has always been weak. I cannot continue the royal bloodline. A prince who cannot provide an heir would only bring shame to the royal family. Mother. I choose to join the Xie family as Shun's third son. Consort Duan looked at him for a long time. Her eyes were filled with complicated emotions. Finally, she sighed. Then I will speak with your father. You were taken away as a child because of the poison in your body. I failed to protect you. As long as you live safely and happily, I will handle everything else. Mr. Shun's throat moved. He lowered his head deeply. The day the royal marriage decree arrived, young Duke Chui came to our house. At that moment, I was sitting in the hallway, flipping through my little debt notebook. I counted again and again. It looked like my wedding gifts were still missing something. Maybe I should visit the Shin family again. And when a little more money, a servant announced, "Young Duke Chui is here." I didn't even look up. "My sister isn't home. Please come back another time." But he walked straight toward me. His shadow covered my notebook. "I'm not here for your sister. I'm here for you." Only then did I raise my head. I met his complicated gaze. "Meow. I told you before. Shun Zhaoyan was a monk. Do you really want to spend your life alone?" I calmly closed my notebook. "Young Duke. Lianhua has already left the temple. This is my choice. You don't need to worry." But he still has faith in his heart. One day, he'll return. Young Duke Chui clenched his fists. Then he made a decision. "Your sister saved my mother. I am willing to marry you, to repay her kindness." My hand froze. I almost dropped my notebook. "Wait, didn't you like my sister?" His eyes moved away. That day, when I went to find her, I finally saw how difficult her life really was. Those terrible wounds. Those harsh situations. I don't think I could live that kind of life. He looked at me. After thinking about it, I realized, somewhere along the way, I started caring about you. You may not shine like your sister, but you are gentle. You are kind. You are suitable to become a good wife. Suitable. Again. That word. In my previous life, that one word trapped me for years. And now, he wanted to use it again. I stood up. "Young Duke. I don't want someone who is merely suitable. I want someone who is right for me. A marriage isn't just two people living together. I want something deeper. Something you cannot give me. So, I'm sorry. You are not the person I want. And I am not the person you truly want. Please leave." Young Duke Chui couldn't let go. Driven by some stubborn feeling, he went directly to the Shin family. He mocked Mr. Shin, a fake monk, yet he still has the nerve to marry into the Xie family. What a joke. The Shin family would never tolerate such disrespect. With one order from the household head, the servants politely escorted him outside. When the Duchess heard what happened, she rushed over. Her face burned with embarrassment. She personally brought him home. Then she demanded, "What exactly are you trying to do?" Young Duke Chui knelt on the floor. His eyes were red. "I want to marry Miss Xie." The Duchess immediately slapped the table. "Do you know what the Xie family is? A marketplace where you pick whatever you like? Do you really think Mr. Shen is just some ordinary young man?" Then she lowered her voice and told him the truth about Mr. Shen's identity. Young Duke Chui remained kneeling. The color slowly disappeared from his face, until finally, only shock and regret remained. That night, I was sitting in the courtyard enjoying a bowl of sweet pudding. Suddenly, a shadow jumped over the wall. I almost choked on my dessert. I looked up and froze. It was young Duke Chui. He walked toward me quickly. His eyes were full of sincerity. "Meow. I was blind before. Tonight, I came here to ask for another chance. I will treat you well." I put down my bowl. "No need. You are the young Duke of Yong'an Manor. Since when do you sneak over walls like a thief?" He looked like he wanted to tear his heart out and show it to me. "Because I followed the rules too much before. That's why I lost you. Back then, you and I actually had a good marriage." "Good marriage." I interrupted him. I couldn't help laughing. "Young Duke Chui, you're only lying to yourself. We lived separately. Other than a few special days each month, you spent most of your time with another woman. When she got sick, you blamed me for not choosing good food. When her cousin came to stay and tried to get close to you, you blamed me for not controlling the servants. Tell me, do you think I'm easy to bully? Do you want to marry me again? Just so I can become your household manager once more?" His expression changed again and again. After a long silence, he whispered, "I should have known. The palace banquet that day. You didn't come because you came back too. I understand now. I will change everything. I will only love you. I will spend the rest of my life with you. He grabbed my wrist. Wouldn't that be enough? I looked at him calmly. Even if you never have children? His hand froze. Slowly, he let go. In my previous life, his beloved woman lost her child because of her own mistake.
But she blamed me.
Without asking the truth, Cui Jiu punished me. He made me kneel for days.
And during that time,
I lost my own child too. He never knew. Instead, he took her away to relax afterward. Later, I gave up the chance to have children forever. He thought it was because my health was weak. He said he didn't mind. But I always saw the disappointment in his eyes. Now, when I asked him directly, he still hesitated. I can choose the child over the mother. The child can be raised by you. I looked at him. Young Duke Cui, you truly are a hypocrite. His eyes turned red. He looked hurt. But I can't ignore my family's honor. Suddenly, fast footsteps came from outside. My maid rushed in carrying a thick wooden stick. Who dares break into our home? Take this. Before Cui Jiu could react,
she swung the stick.
he stumbled back in shock, then quickly escaped over the wall, landing outside with a loud crash. The maid leaned on the stick, breathing heavily. Second miss. Are you okay? I nodded. I'm fine. The day of my wedding arrived. For once, Shin Zhaoyan wore a bright red wedding outfit. It made his already elegant face look even more stunning. There was a shy smile in his eyes, and a happiness he couldn't hide. He sat proudly on the horse. The people around us whispered excitedly. Miss Xie's luck is incredible. She actually found a husband who looks like someone from a painting. Among the crowd, young Duke Cui clenched his hands inside his sleeves. His fingers turned pale. His eyes followed the red figure on the horse. He couldn't look away. When the wedding procession reached the street corner, he secretly pulled out a hidden weapon. He aimed at the white horse decorated with red ribbons and fired. The arrow struck the horse's leg. The horse cried out. It suddenly panicked. Shen Zhaoyan lost his balance. He was about to fall. Luckily, Consort Duan had always felt guilty toward him. She secretly arranged guards to protect him. The guards reacted instantly. One grabbed the horse. Others protected Shin Zhaoyan from both sides. The danger was stopped. My heart finally relaxed. I rushed forward and pulled him down from the horse. He landed safely in my arms. For a moment, he froze. Then his face turned red again. Meow. Put me down. So many people are watching. It's fine. I can do this. For this day, I had trained at home for half a month. Even my mother complained. Which woman trains like this?
But now,
it proved useful. I looked at the embarrassed man in my arms, then turned coldly to the guards. Go. Bring Cui Jiu to me. The next day, after the wedding ceremony was finished, and after all the celebrations ended, I finally went to the prison. Cui Jiu sat on the ground. His clothes were messy. His hair was slightly undone. When he saw me, his eyes lit up. He quickly stood. Meow. Are you here to save me? I looked at him through the bars.
no.
I'm here to see how badly you've fallen. He gave a bitter smile. I only wanted to take back my wife. Your wife? I laughed softly. Young Duke Cui. In my past life, you and I were married, but in this life, we never started anything. So tell me, who exactly is your wife? He reached toward me. Meow. Did you really never have even a little affection for me? I stepped back. Not even once. Cui Jiu's actions caused chaos in public. He ruined a royal wedding ceremony and endangered innocent people. With all charges combined, he was sentenced to exile far away. The yeoman Manor tried to plead for him, but it was useless. Consort Duan personally handled the matter. Even the emperor was furious. The entire Cui family was punished. After my marriage, my sister slowly adopted several children. She treated them like her own students. One day, as I passed by her courtyard, I heard her first disciple asking, "Master, why do we have to learn how to treat fertility problems first?" My sister didn't even look up. She continued preparing medicine. "Don't ask. Someone in this family needs it." I was about to leave, but Shun Zhaoyan suddenly stopped walking. The veins on his hand tightened. Back in our room, he hugged me with a sad expression. "Wife, it's my fault I can't give you children. If there is another life, I'll become a woman. Then I'll give you 10 babies." Luckily, my parents really did surprise everyone. Even at their age, they had a pair of twins. 2 adorable little girls, round and soft like little rice cakes. My sister carried one. I carried the other, perfectly divided. Shun Zhaoyan loved them even more. Whenever my parents weren't looking, he secretly picked up one of the little girls, held her tiny hand, and whispered softly, "Say, Daddy. Just one time, say, Daddy. And I'll buy you your favorite sweets."
Thank you for staying with us until the end of the story. For me, the most touching part of this journey was not just the love between Miao and Zhao Yin, but the way they finally chose each other after misunderstanding and regret. He was a man who once hid his feelings because he thought he had no future to offer her, while she was a woman who had spent a lifetime trying to become someone worthy of being loved. Their love was not about finding a perfect person. It was about finding someone who truly saw their hidden pain, accepted their flaws, and chose to stay. Thank you for listening to Moonlit Stories. I hope this story brought you warmth and emotion. See you in our next unforgettable tale.